realize that most of my profile pictures have dark brown hair now, so it's like people go, "Oh, it is you."
No, well, first off,
It's
thank you for being here. I know we spoke via email, and so it was good to kind of get this going. So again, I do thank you for being here, and I'm excited. And I know everyone who's on currently and who's going to be coming on is going to be excited to hear some of the tidbits you've got to share with us. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah. So I did do a little bit of a digging, and Claire helped me. So just so everyone, I'll say it now, and then you can help me with it. So I'm going to go through some of the roles you've had, um, and this is the short version. So we have event coordinator for ASA, um, chair soccer. No, then we had executive director St. Albert Soccer Association, chair soccer competitions World Masters Games. Then we had general manager FIFA Under 20 World Cup, development of soccer of women in soccer ASA, team service coordinator of Edmonton venue, and then we have match day operations and field manager Edmonton FC. So, whoo, that was a lot. So, have I missed a few there, or does that kind of, yeah?
No, that pretty much captures all the paid roles. I mean, there's prior to that all the volunteer stuff that got me going in
Yeah, yeah,
involved in soccer, board being on different boards and whatnot. But yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty much.
Just reading through that, Val, I'm like, wow, wow, wow. What haven't you done? Because that's amazing. Just reading that.
Yeah, it's been an amazing 20 some years, I guess, and involved in soccer. Hadn't really wasn't something I trained for officially. I mean, I have a background in administration,
Yeah,
but this, when you can combine something you really love with getting paid for it, it's as you know, it's Shangri-La, right?
love it, love it.
Helps you.
So we'll dive into it because that's a good segment to go into. So, what was some of the, how did you first come about getting involved in soccer?
Well, to be quite honest, my daughter was about 5 and she had really bad asthma, and her pediatrician at the time said, put this girl in soccer, she'll be fine. And, we're like, ooh, we didn't know anything about it, but we enrolled her, and, here we are 35 years later, not only me working in soccer, but both my husband and I are big fans. She still plays, so it became a real family thing. That's it in a nutshell. Really got us rolling
Yeah,
and
yeah.
volunteering boards when she got playing and playing at a higher level, and more volunteering, sitting on boards. And
So that's fantastic. So when did it shift from volunteering to, hey, maybe I could make a career out of this?
yeah, so I was working for TransCanada Pipelines as a helicopter dispatcher, and they closed down the operation. And as it through a creative severance package that they offered, um, uh, I was allowed to go and work for 1 year for a not-for-profit organization, and received half my salary and so on and so forth. And so I called up Alberta Soccer and said, hey, do you need a extra body around for a year? And yeah, Gary welcomed me. I went in. That's when I met Claire, and basically we worked on a lot of the soccer camps and that kind of thing for that year. At the end of that year, which would have been December '99, I believe, Gary offered me a full-time job as the administrator for the AMSL. So I kind of started in that, but in April 2000, I guess, I got the offer to go and join St. Albert Soccer as executive director. So yeah, transitioned from Alberta Soccer over to St. Albert, and as you say, rest is history. I've kind of been involved working in the soccer world for over 20 years.
Fantastic. So listening to this, so you made the transition then from working for PSO to then working, using that expertise and bringing it to St.
Yeah.
Albert as ED. And for those that are listening, executive director, we're not going to assume that everyone understands ED. So how was that then, Val, transitioning over, working as an ED for St. Albert? What were some of your greatest challenges, your greatest wins? Or do you have any advice now for women who possibly are looking to start, not start, but get into those roles, or would love to get into those roles, or currently in those roles?
Yeah, I think my year and a half or so with Alberta Soccer really, I was able to transition over to St. Albert with a lot of knowledge of what needed to be done and
Yeah.
what the, um, Alberta Soccer expected from each of the clubs. So I think the one of the biggest things is the board, as you know, they had to manage a clubhouse, a building, and several fields. So the costs of playing in the community was a little higher than some of the other communities. So the board challenged me to really manage those costs. And obviously I'm no financial wizard or a marketing wizard, but I managed I think my biggest win out there is managed to get sponsorship for every single age group from U16 to U18. So all the jerseys sponsored. And that really helped not only to reduce the registration fees for the parents and the kids to play, but it allowed me to hire an assistant. And at that time it was huge because, managing, administering a program for U6 through to adult, didn't have many days off. So yeah, I would say that was a big win for me when I was in St. Albert. Yeah, was there. So, but I think, my role as a helicopter dispatch coordinator really prepared me more than anything for, because getting 4 or 5 helicopters off the ground every morning, scheduling the pilots, knowing their weight, knowing the weight of the lunches, knowing the weight of the passengers, and balancing that with how much fuel you could put on board, booking the hotel rooms, filling out all the Transport Canada forms. Really sounds a lot like soccer, ordering shirts, booking fields, booking referees,
Yeah.
kids onto teams, assigning coaches, all of that. Really, the transition, it was the same mindset. I'm kind of a square peg, square hole, task oriented. And so those tasks really work well with my personality. And so it really, if you're a detail oriented person, you like to organize things, there are plenty of roles, I think, not just in soccer, but any sport for that matter. And I really recommend to people wanting to get involved is really start volunteering, like sit on some boards and I took all the coaching courses as well, refereeing courses, sports first aid, taping ankles, all that. Just arm yourself with as much knowledge as you can as you go, on your journey.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And I'll go back to when you were saying you brought in sponsorship. Just hearing that, the impact that you're having on lives and people financially as well as a heart. Um, if I had a hat, I'd take it off to you right now, because that's we don't have enough of that in the sport. And I just love the fact that you did this, and we're talking a while back.
Yeah.
So again, that was huge,
Yeah.
huge. I love. Thanks for sharing that. So what were some of the adverse, the adversity that you came across dealing with that role, and possibly, again, people might be in that role now dealing with and don't really know how to navigate. What were some of the things you came across, and how did you go, deal with it? Because that's a reality of nowadays, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's face it. I mean, it's soccer and sport, and it's always been typically, I suppose it still is in some respects, a man's world. So yeah, I mean, there's always challenges. I think one of the biggest things is being compartmentalized, if that's even a word, or that just because you're a woman, you can do the admin stuff, but having you involved in the boardroom, not so much. So I think you have to be pretty thick-skinned to sit in some of them boardrooms. know your stuff, know your content, know the world, arm yourself with as much knowledge as you can. I think in my role as match director with FC Edmonton, a big task I have, and it doesn't sound like much, but because we're televised, I have to always get the teams out of the dressing room in a timely fashion. And, it never fails to amaze me how they can sit in a dressing room and be cussed and sworn at and put down and all that. And I knock on the door and holler at them, okay, let's go, it's showtime. And, be labeled bossy or bitchy or, these kinds of things, we have to get over, so a man can raise his voice in a situation to make something happen.
Yeah.
I always have that constant struggle of being very careful when I raise my voice in a situation to not be labeled. So I find that, in a way funny and ironic, but still, these are some of the small things we have to deal with. And women are held to a bit different standard, like it or not. So,
yeah, and it's you're so right, and it's again, it's keep pushing that, right? Not only recognizing it, but keep pushing it to break down those barriers and break down that mindset that she's bossy or she's always getting us in line. I love that. I love the fact that it's you've recognized it. Obviously, you're living it, but for others to come as well, I think it's important as well, and how to go about breaking down some of those barriers as well, right? So, which is great. So I'm gonna shift a little bit here. So, by the way, I'm looking above my computer. I'm not watching a game. I've got my notes about. I've got Champions League on right now. Nothing. I've just got my notes. So you were part of the organizing committee for the 2015 Women's World Cup. Please, how was that experience? Because that must have been amazing.
Well, first of all, it's a lot of work. I mean, you work in soccer and sport, and long days and a lot of work. But I really so blessed to live in Edmonton and be given the opportunity to be a part of that historic event for Canada. I had also a role which allowed me to work really closely with the teams and, greeting them at the airport, being with them a lot at the hotel rooms and the training sites. And I was really touched often by how the women athletes really engage the young fans, and we're always, able to take time to thank them for coming. Well, it was really good. But, I think for me, the excitement leading up to 2015 really started in 2002 with the Under-19 Women's Championships.
Yeah.
Women's soccer really stole the headlines back then and put Edmonton and Alberta and Canada on the map as hosts, premier hosts for international games, but particularly women's games. So that was huge, and that started up. And it built and built and built to 2015.
Yeah. Fantastic. So what, you've probably mentioned it a little bit there, but what do you think it meant to the female players out there just having that World Cup here?
Yeah, in 2002, I was still working at St. Albert Soccer, and we did see an increase, and I'm sure ASA has all that statistics, increase in registrations, particularly in girls around 10. Registrations go up at that time, and I think having that event here really gave the little girls and athletes and players something to dream about and work towards, and see that it can be a reality for them to aspire to be a professional player or a national team player and play at a high level. And so the women were great role models, and every event I've worked right from 2002 onwards, the women really work hard at being good role models, and that means a lot. It goes a long way.
Yeah, and as you're speaking again, I hear that ripple effect from 2003, the ripple effect it had building up all the way to 2015, which Sometimes we can so get caught in just the now and not
Mhm.
thinking about the bigger picture. So again, it's another great tidbit that you're sharing there, because again, it's we've got to start doing this more. The ripple effect and the effects of our actions now and how they are looked on, 2, 3, 5 years down the line, right? So,
Mhm.
thank you for that, Val. What do I have here? Oh yeah. So, do you think men and women have different leadership styles? And is it important to have a woman voice at the table, even in the men's game?
Uh, yes, I mean, the simple answer is yes, but however, I think that every single person has a different leadership style,
Yeah,
whether you're a man or a woman. And it's
yeah,
not so much gender based. I mean, I've experienced both good and bad leadership from both men and women.
yeah,
And so I think what's important is have a mix of people at any table making decisions.
yeah,
So, every person looks at everything from a different angle, depending on their unique personality or their unique personal experiences. So, why wouldn't you have all persons from all walks of life in different areas to achieve your outcomes?
yeah,
Important to be inclusive.
yeah.
And it's up to a good leader to draw out the best in everybody and everyone on that, whatever their team is. So to me, more than gender based, a leader is someone who facilitates the environment for people to contribute. So,
Fantastic. Yeah, and again, that's another one in our world right now. It's we have people who sometimes have these titles, and then all of a sudden it's the hammer, and we're human beings, and we mentioned it earlier, Val, about touching people's hearts and doing things for the betterment of allowing people to grow, not allowing, but wanting people to grow. It would be like me wanting you to grow, but you wanting to grow yourself as well. I think we need more of that in the game, but it's just, again, I'm loving the fact that you've been in all these roles and you're sharing, because again, not only are we learning from you here, there'll be many others that will watch this and go, hey, someone who's been there and done it, I've listened, and now I can start to shape some of how I go about things in my daily environment in these positions that Val's sat in as well. So again, thank you. Um, I will ask though, there still is only a few women in leadership roles. Why would you think that? What's some of the reasons, and how can we carry on breaking down those barriers?
that's $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, do they not want the fight?
yeah,
Because it is. I mean, not to make it bigger than it is, or diminish that, but it is a daily conscious effort to go sit in these boardrooms and be part of the decision making and be respected. So, but I mean, I guess what kind of always amazes me is that women make fabulous teachers. And I would say I had very few male teachers growing up. Women were always the teacher and the role models, and I'm assuming the ratio is still higher today of female teachers to men. So it only makes sense that women could excel in coaching and leading in that as well. Uh, so yeah, that's $1 million question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's that's great to hear. Great to hear. And again, we want to continue to see that flourish, right? As all, not just
Yeah.
women, but again, it's when we talk about whether it be in this sport, another sport, or in the boardroom, outside the boardroom, on the field, we want everyone to always feel like there's opportunity there. And if there's something someone's determined to go for, then go for it. There's going to be little barriers, but we all have barriers, no matter what.
Yeah.
I
And
guess
I
it's
think,
how we do it.
yeah, when we first started the development of women in soccer committee back in 2012, I had originally attended a workshop that CSA had hosted, and it was, leading up to the Women's World Cup. But I think that was, you hit the nail on the head. That was one of the things that was largely discussed through that weekend and through our early goings as our own Alberta Soccer Committee on Development of Women was the barriers. That was identified as what kept women from most of these roles. And so we spent a lot of time discussing and identifying the barriers and looking at ways to remove those barriers. And I think that work continues. I have a good fortune to attend a couple of the weekend workshops that Carmen has worked with the committee on hosting, and I'm encouraged by the work they're doing on that committee.
Yeah.
And the steps they're taking, and each time, you know, there's more and more women coming forward, embracing those roles, like you said, coaching, you know, a lot of great referees coming out. And so I think, you know, we just have to collectively continue to work as a group, big groups, to remove these barriers and encourage women to, you know, to step up and take on some of these roles.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, because my next question was going to be, how do we continue to promote women in the game, really? But I think you've just touched on a lot of it there, where you're on about continuously working together and like Carmen and the group, Women in Sport, and other organizations around Alberta and even in the country to continue pushing to raise the standard. So, but yeah, is there anything that really stands out to you when we say you'd love to see more being done when it comes to promoting women in the game?
Again, because I'm so immersed in the men's game and in my professional career right now, that I'm not as involved peripherally with you know, the minor soccer groups or the youth groups or the women and all that. So
yeah,
all I can say is that, you know, that when I attended the workshops, I think they're on the right track. I think that there's a lot of support there that wasn't, you know, even, you know, 5 years ago, that the support is there to encourage and welcome and build these women up to be able to participate. And they're doing, you know, workshops specifically for females in refereeing, specific workshops, you know, women, more welcoming environment for them to come and train as coaches, those kinds of things. Everything helps. It's you know, all steps definitely in the right direction.
yeah. No, that's great. And again, we've got a few people on this call from all over the province, so this is good that this is coming out and sharing this kind of info, because I know we've got Sam, who's all the way in Fort St. John, and then we've got Will here, who's in Airdrie, and then Kevin, who's in Edmonton. So this is good because they're all obviously working in different environments, different organizations, but again, the message is the same thing no matter what organization. So here we go. So I'm going to ask you now, because I know you've probably had tons, Val. Give me an aha moment. You know, one that went really well and one where you said, you know what, if that happened again, I would have approached it differently. Because again, we want to, you know, share those moments that other people who might experience that can start to look at it in different ways as well.
I don't know if it's so much aha moment, but situation I can describe will answer both those questions in not an aha, but a validation, but then also the challenges I faced in that. But I got a random call last spring from a independent promoter from Los Angeles. He got my name somehow, somewhere, and wanted to hire me to come down to Los Angeles to coordinate a match for him. And, you know, I thought it was a bit of a joke. I'm like, who is this guy? And, you know, and then the match, a small match between Argentina and Chile. At a 70,000 seat LA Coliseum. So anyway, I said, I'll call you back. I did some research. The guy's legit. Called him back, took the job. And yeah, it was a real validation for me that anyway, he flew me down there. It was great. It was a fabulous memory, but not at all without its challenges. And it goes back to set the scene here. Is before a big match, we always have match coordination meetings. Both teams come in a room. We lay out here's what's going to happen. This is when we need you at the stadium. This is the kit you're going to wear. May I see it? It's all this. It's standard FIFA, CSA. Every big game you do, it's a standard match coordination meeting. Aside from the 2 interpreters for each team, I'm the only female in the room, all men, all speaking Spanish. Totally ignoring me. And so, after a few polite excuse me's, I finally, have to get my big voice, pound the table. Excuse me. I know just enough Spanish to realize they were debating this plan between them and what they were going to do. And I'm like, excuse me, this is, I'm in charge of this game.
Good. Yeah.
This plan is not for debate. This is how it's going down.
Good.
This is what you will wear. This is when you show up. This is, so, I kind of left that meeting feeling, why do I have to fight every time? So it was good. The game went off great. Wasn't as well attended, I don't think, as the promoter wanted, but they never is. My role as putting the game on as match director, went ahead and so more of a validation in recognition that I could do it. A few years ago, I would have not.
It's interesting, Val, as I'm listening to you, and even in these situations like you're just explaining there, where you're the only woman, they're talking to them amongst themselves in Spanish, not paying you any attention. You've got that, I wouldn't say you've got it, but you're obviously, it's kept you in good stead because it's never got down to you, it's never got to you in a way that you've said, if there's males in that room or whatever, I'm not going in there. And I think that's such a massive trait, because even everyone on this call now can, especially some of the women, can relate, and even some of the guys can relate, in knowing who you are. I think I'm hearing that in a lot of what you're saying right now, how it's coming out now. I just think it's huge, and it's a massive trait. To be always sometimes finding yourselves in these situations, but still coming out of it with positives, even though there's the negatives there, but not enough to, when it comes around again, for you to go, no, I definitely don't want anything. I get the sense like you roll up your sleeves and say, hey, let's go in there and do it.
Yeah, and I think
that's huge.
I think that going into or walking into a situation like that, what helps me, give me the ability to do it is I know what I'm presenting or what I'm saying is the truth. It's not, I don't make up the rules. I don't, everybody can tell you the operations manual is my best friend. Rather than make up, what's going to happen or what's going to do, it's in the book, it's in the operations manual, and I'm a real rule follower, so I'm happy to go defer to the book, and it takes the pressure off of me that there's a certain way that things should be done, and not in a big match, and this is the way it's done, and just my training and my background, this is the way it's done. And so for me to walk in a room and say, this is the way it's going to happen, this is the way it's planned, confidence in my knowledge, confidence in knowing that what I'm presenting and saying is correct. I haven't just made it up. I haven't, read it off the back of a napkin. So I think that's arm yourself with the education and the knowledge and the background, and do your research and be prepared for those situations really goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think I was just going to ask you something, and you just came out with it there when you said the confidence, because I was going to ask you, have you done anything mentally to prepare you for some of those things, right? Because mentally it's in here, right? It's because you're right, you can have all, you know, this is stick to the script or this is how we do it, but mentally, and you mentioned it, confidence, and I think even on this call, I think that's great for many to hear. It's that's an internal thing, right?
Yeah, it's huge, and you know, being able, that confidence also gives one the ability in a pressure situation to remain calm. I mean, our whole season last year with FC Edmonton, for example, was, you know, rain delay, rain delay. If it wasn't rain delay, it was smoke delay. And, you know, you've got the TV truck sitting there, and you've got the fans that they don't know what's going on. They don't know if the game's going to happen. You're juggling that. You're juggling calls from head office. You know, what's going on in Edmonton? Why aren't you playing? You know, you have a multitude of things coming at you. And I think in those times, particularly, is, you know, what your evacuation policy is. You know what your rain delay protocols are. You know all of that. And so, you know, when someone, you know, comes at you with adversity, you can say, you know, emphatically, no, this is our plan. This is our protocol. We'll stick to this plan. We'll stick to this protocol. We will remain calm and do that. So, you know, I wouldn't say I'm normally a calm person. I can get quite excited, but when it's in those situations, that's what's in the back of your mind is you've read those protocols, you've committed them to memory, you've prepared for this, and now it's happening. It's lightning and thunder, and you've got, you know, so it's just, yeah, knowing something and having the confidence to see it through to the end.
Yeah, I love that. It's so funny because one of my friends' teams, Val, were here last year, and that was one of the games where the lightning was happening. So I remember going into the change room of both teams, and just because I know both coaches and the players. But yeah, I remember how calm everyone was, how polite everyone was, and eager to get out, but being respectful. And I didn't know until now that you were responsible for that. So, because I remember being there and being in the change room with the players, and then talking to me people. And I just remember it being, there was no, you know, no one getting upset. But now it's only dawned on me talking to you that you were responsible for that. So again, yeah, I can put action to what you're actually saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was a hell of a year, put it that way. Now we have 2020, so.
Yeah. Well, taking on from that, so what's been some of the highlights? Because obviously you're working with FC Edmonton in the Canada Premier League. So what's been some of the highlights of your role in working with the organization?
You know, well, obviously, the biggest thing is just having a domestic Canadian league is a long time coming. It's been huge for all of us that love the sport and work in the sport. You know, now on to developing the women's league, and so this is just one step towards that. So both, you know, young male and female athletes can have something to work towards, and then it strengthens our national teams. I think it's awesome. You know, on game day, there's no two games alike. I'm always, as we already went through, prepared. I'm pretty focused on the task at hand. I don't do a lot of small talk and chit chat on game day because it's, you know, I have to focus on there. But I have to tell you that that first game in Edmonton of the CPL, I get emotional even thinking about it now. I'm a little verklempt, I tell you, when that Canadian anthem played. It was a big moment.
Yeah. 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 Proud.
Yeah, big moment for Edmonton and Alberta and Canada and the sport in general, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was huge. It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I can. I'm feeling it through this, and again, I wasn't even born here, but I'm feeling it. You know, I've been here 13 years now, and it's my home. It will always be my home. It's my kids' home. So to be talking to you and seeing and feeling it through this, again, it's sometimes we, not you, but sometimes we can take it for granted. And you're right. You know, it's that flag and the anthem, right? And even from your journey knowing a lot of the work that's been put in, that ripple effect from then to now. You've got to be one of the proudest people around, right? Because again, it's not just something that's been created. There's been a foundation of where it's all come from, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's big. It's big for the country, and anybody who appreciates football, but not just football, sport in general. It's great for our country.
Yeah, yeah. And you touched on it a little bit. Hopefully a new NWSL. Are you involved with that? Is there something you hope to get involved on?
Well, I'm in a unique situation. I'm employed by FC Edmonton just seasonally, so prior to kickoff, usually a month, and then once the season's over, my contract ends. So personally, yeah, I'd love to be involved and share some experience with people and helping whatever I can do to help things grow and go forward. I typically don't stay in Edmonton for the winter, so.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of,
But aren't we all learning how to work offline? So yeah.
Well, this is it, right? This is it, adapting to the new times or the current conditions.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So, before I open it up, Val, because I do know we have a few people online here, and there might be a few questions. Again, I do want to. You've shared so much there, so much. It's brilliant. It's brilliant because again, sometimes we don't appreciate where we're at now and where it started, where the journey started for us to be where we're at right now, and then for what we're doing right now, how the future can look, how that impacts the future. So again, if I had a hat, I've just got a bald little peanut here, but if I had a hat, I would take it off to you. But yeah, because I look on someone like we've got Samantha, I guess, who's on from Fort Mac. Samantha, is there any questions you would like to come on? Because I know your situation in Fort Mac, especially being one of the very few females in the positions that you have. Sorry, not Fort Mac, Fort St. John. Is there any questions, Sam, from you? Or we're just opening it up to the whole group? Yes, no, maybe so.
Now I'm unmuted.
Oh, hey, Sam.
Okay. So for me, I'm a fairly young, inexperienced female fighting through this. So how do you gain the experience when you're not given opportunities easily? How do you fight for those opportunities?
Yeah, again, there's no limit to what you can learn and fill your head with education and knowledge about whatever you're pursuing, and finding ways to express that. Ask the questions at the meetings. Ask the leading and driving questions. Be that voice at these board meetings or these situations you find yourself in. That demonstrates that, oh, gee, she really knows what she's talking about. Oh, she has some knowledge and background on that, and then plants the seed for them to give you the more opportunities to give you more work or more responsibilities. And with each of those responsibilities, then you build your resume as what you can do. Like I say, I'm in large ways can be considered quite shy, but if you want to focus and go for something, have the confidence and be brave in those situations, just to speak out, speak up. And maybe I always found the tactic of rather than give the answer, ask the question, and that gets brains thinking in a situation, challenging them.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. Great question, Sam. Great question. I see. So yeah, we've got a few others. Kevin, Mackenzie just joined us. Will, Carmen, Jeannie, Claire, obviously John. So anyone have any questions or anything, Val, we discussed there that you said, you know what, I like that, or I didn't look at it that way. Just anything really. Oh, is that Mackenzie? Claire?
Hey Val, it's Claire.
Claire.
Hey, one thing that I really liked what you just said is be prepared to be brave, right? Because again, that's a huge thing. Like, doors can potentially open or cracks can open in those doors for whatever we want to do, but we have to have, like you said, kind of that mindset to just be brave to step through that door and try and attain whatever goal that you're trying to do for yourself, right? And so, yeah, it takes a lot of courage and vulnerability too to put yourself out there. But if you don't try, you never know, right? So I really appreciate you saying that, because I know in my own experience too, I've had, to just kind of step through that threshold and see what happens on the other side. And taking that first step is difficult, but if you can, summon up the courage to do it and go for it, it's kind of incredible how things can potentially, like in your case, same with me, snowball into new adventures and new tasks and new learnings that we can go through. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, those are three big words: bravery, courage, and vulnerability. That, yeah, are definitely huge in your development towards a career in sport.
Yeah.
I actually find one of my most limiting factors is the isolation that we are. Like, we're still a fairly large center, but from Edmonton, we're looking at, 6.5 hours, 7 hours. So we're not getting the opportunities from different coaches. We don't have college level ball here or really nearby. Like, that's where I'm finding my biggest limiting factors is I'm having a hard time putting myself in positions for education and opportunity.
Yeah, that would definitely be a challenge in a more remote community where you just simply don't have high level competition, but to I guess look for opportunities within the community that creates those competitions and situations for personal and community development. Hosting courses and clinics and yeah, those kinds of things. I know ASA does a great job in providing that those templates for those. So jump in, get those going.
Oh, we're working hard on it. Working hard. Thank you.
Yeah. Kevin and Will, from hearing the discussion, I know Will just came late, but hearing especially Kevin, is there anything that you heard here that has give you a new outlook of when you go back to your clubs? I know both you, one's in Edmonton, both of you in Calgary. Anything just from your standpoint, Kevin or Will?
Yep. Hi, Matt. This is Kevin. Hi. Thank you so much for the session, Val. I appreciate that. So what I want to say that, basically adding to what I heard, which was great, confidence comes with experience. Doesn't matter what gender is. I was a junior, person, and I couldn't even speak up. Now I talk everywhere because I have a long-term, experience. What I see that when I'm coaching and I'm coaching minor soccer, there's no difference between boy or girls, age 7, 8, 6, 5. They're all similar. They play same. Girls stand up. They play hard. They just fighters, and they do that. As gradually they grow, society puts barriers in front of the girls. I have both daughter and son. and I see that things are getting more and more limited for the girls. I think it's our responsibility to support them as the more experienced people. I would love to see more young female coaches in our society, in our soccer teams, especially for the little ones, little girls. They feel connected easier for them. I remember when my daughter was young, she was going swimming. She had a friend. She didn't want to have a male instructor swimmer. She wanted to have a female because she was, as she's very young. So I think what I want to say that it is our responsibility to help the younger, entry level coaches and any female in the society, not just soccer, to give them opportunities so they learn. Because if I don't have the opportunity, it's very hard to stand up. If nobody just opened the door, yes, there are some fighters that they go and open the door themselves. But generally, doesn't matter if it's a male or female, if we don't give them opportunity, many of them, they give up. So that's what I say. And what I would like to ask is, how can we encourage our young athlete and female soccer players step up when they go to university and do something, come and help to coach the soccer teams?
And I think one of the things we discovered when we were heading on this journey of looking at the barriers, and there was all women in the room, and it's not rocket science. It's something as simple as a young female who had a collegiate soccer career. They played at a high level. They want to get into coaching, but now they have their own little child. And so it's something simple as the clubs and the organizations and associations providing babysitting or providing, what is the barrier? So ask a young woman that you think would make a fabulous coach. What is keeping you from coaching? What is the barriers that are keeping you from coaching? And then help to work with that potential coach to remove those barriers. They need childcare. Well, let's work as an association and as a group to provide that childcare. Whatever the barriers are, identify the barriers. You won't know how to remove them until you know what they are. And so find out what they are. Why don't you coach? Why aren't you reffing? And work collectively to remove those barriers.
I totally agree with you. I think we are the one who have to put the first step and go forward and ask them and show them that they're welcome. We need them and they need to join. Again, what Matt asked, what I'm getting from this session is that I feel I shouldn't sit that a female coach come and say, hey, I want to coach. I should go and encourage them as someone that they look at me as a more sort of older person who've been around to help them. This is, Matt always says something very nice. It's everyone's responsibility. And we need to do that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great question, Kevin. And I know Kevin very well, so I can joke with him. And I was gonna say, judging by how you speak now, there's no way we would have known you were quiet when you were younger. Anyway, I know Kevin, so I can joke with him.
Thank you.
There is a few comments here, Val. So one from Carmen in the office here. Amazing Carmen. As a female, have you or how can we support females in playing sports, coaching, or leading sports? So that was our question.
Yeah, again, we've already had the conversation about the barriers. Providing, I think the move that ASA did was providing the gender-based coaching courses And going back to Claire's, maybe they always wanted to take a ref course, or maybe they always wanted to take a coaching course, but they were intimidated in a room of mostly men in those courses. So putting on those courses in clinics and what have you, where it's all female attendees, I think really will build their confidence and their courage, and don't feel so vulnerable to maybe attend and be part of those developmental programs that are available, and just to making those.
Good. Okay, thanks, Val. So we have another one from Mackenzie. Mackenzie's Calgary Rangers in Calgary. Hi, Val. Sorry I joined late. Perhaps this has already been mentioned, but I wonder if you had a female mentor and how you have been able to seek out mentorship opportunities in your life.
Well, I wouldn't say, I couldn't identify that I had a female mentor, but I've had a lot of great females around me, often to discuss things, Claire being one, of course, that she was there early on, my early days with Alberta Soccer. But to surround yourself with like-minded people, and people who do encourage you and give you the confidence to move forward. So more about surrounding yourself with other like-minded females who are wanting to excel and make a difference in whatever role or whatever world they're living in, just surrounding yourself with that positivity and those kinds of people and that build you up. It's very important.
Fantastic. Any more questions? Because I am mindful of Val's time and everyone else's time as well. Just before we final word and we wrap up here. I don't see any other questions. Okay, so Val, I am gonna again thank you so much. Again, the conversation. Hopefully we can have more in the future. I'd love to, because I think this is this could continue, and this can really continue, because again we get asked, people come into the office or even call us in the office and ask, how do I get mentorship? How do I'm struggling with this environment at my club, and how can I deal with it? So I think there's so much more there that we can still continue to learn from someone like yourself and learn from each other as well. So again, I want to thank you for this. Again, it's finally good to put a face to all the around here. You're like the amazing Val. That's all I keep hearing. So it's good to put a face to it,
I've paid them well.
No wonder everyone's having big lunches. But anyway, no, fantastic again. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone again, and whether you're at work or you're at home, just for putting in the time to invest in a growth mindset, to listen, to share. Again, we're one family. Yes, we might have different badges on our chest, but we're all part of the same family, not only in Canada, but internationally as well. And I will never stop saying that. So again, thank you all. Be safe, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you again, Val.
Very welcome. Thank you. My pleasure. Have a great day.
Okay, you too.